Hello. I've decided not to appear here because my hay fever is really bad and my voice is a bit croaky, but I'll do my best. And I really need to say these things while I can. I chose this backdrop because it's where I'd rather be, as the temperature here is hot and it's rising. It's 28 and they reckon it's going to go up to 36. And I really don't like that. But we have to suffer it. Now this is a little bit about sport to start with. Now, I used to like football and I used to like cricket and rugby, but they've all been tainted by politics. Politics should never ever come into sport. And my last refuges are darts and snooker and somewhat tennis. But even tennis has been dragged into it with the treatment of Djokovic in Prison Island in Australia. And coincidentally, we had Wimbledon at the weekend, and the results were very favourable to me. First off was Djokovic win over a very, very aggressive Australian guy. And I applaud Djokovic because of the way he was treated in Australia. However, his opponent was brash and very rude throughout the match, and he was quite obviously trying to put Djokovic off. And thankfully, it didn't work. Quite obviously, his testosterone levels had gone to his brain, or just maybe his brain had moved to his testicles. And I think his behaviour can only be described as what's the current term? Toxic masculinity. And I'm pretty sure that's okay with a lot of men and possibly some women. Good luck with that. Good luck with that in the long run. Now, Djokovic, by comparison, put all his aggression into his tennis and remained calm and silent. I have total respect for that, and the best man won the tournament. And then we had the ladies' final, and it produced some wonderful tennis from a young lady called Elena Rybakina. And she actually lost the first set because of her nerves about her country of origin when she first came onto the court. It mattered not one bit. She proved to be the champion she obviously is, regardless of her birthplace. And I praise her for her tennis, not where she comes from. She won in a very professional way, and I take my hat off to her. and that was going to be the second reason I was wearing a hat, because I cut my hair a bit short and I was covering it up, but you can't see it anyway. But by the way, baseball caps are designed to keep the sun from our eyes. And some people tend to wear them back to front. Well, if you're 15 or under, that can be forgiving for wearing them back to front. When you get someone like the Australian opponent that Djokovic faced, he was a 20-something, 30-something, I don't know, but he should have known better. He looked a complete idiot. Please don't. If you're over 15, please don't wear your baseball cap backwards. You look a right idiot. I know, I've tried it and looked in the mirror. Now, banning sports people because of their country of origin has been shamed and is very, very wrong. And it's a childish action brought to you by the collective West, led once again by the good old US of A. And perhaps now in this modern world, it is becoming the declining US of A. Who knows what the future holds? Elena Rybakina was dignified and professional, and she deserved to win. Quite obviously, God was on her side, and it seems to me he had a sense of humour about the whole thing and the whole situation. Brilliant. changing the subject slightly. This morning I watched a video from Finland, and the guy there was boasting how many fallout shelters it has. Apparently there is enough to accommodate 4 million people. God only knows what will happen to the other 1.5 million. Now, let me tell you something about fallout shelters that I know of. As a young man, I was a telephone engineer, and it was a policy then for all new telephone exchanges to have fallout shelters. Enough room to accommodate 3 engineers and their families. And there were meetings with the unions about this, and most engineers voted not to comply. The simple reason being was that should there be a nuclear war, then equally there would be a nuclear winter to follow it, perhaps lasting from 1 to 7 years. Can you imagine being locked up with people for even a year, let alone 7 of them? The lockdowns we have just experienced must tell us what would happen. Look at the people in China in high-rise apartments and the screams asking to be released and pleading with the authorities. Sadly, regardless of anything in China, it's against the law and they will not let those people out. It's a tragedy. At our meetings with the unions, it was decided by a huge majority of engineers that they would take their chances on the quick end rather than a dragged out one. And also, of course, one must look at the logistics of such an operation. Food, water, heating, sanitation. All I can say is good luck with that one too. Now, I bought a book recently. I'll leave the title and the author in descriptions. It cost around £20, and it's well worth the money because it's far more informative than anything from mainstream media. It's about something called mass formation psychosis and totalitarianism. And you've only got to look at what is happening around the world. And it isn't caused by a war, it's caused by neoliberal regimes all over the Western world. And now, people have started to revolt in desperation. Look at Sri Lanka, Tehran, Albania, Holland, Spain, Italy, France, Canada, Estonia. Everywhere you look, people are demonstrating and are reaching desperation right across the Western world. Will things change? Well, not if you ask nicely, that's for sure. I never mention my country of England because it's beyond help. Our government, in its infinite wisdom, has just welcomed 10,000 people here to be trained as soldiers. It seems to me that they will be cannon fodder for a lost cause. Young men and women trained to die. What a tragedy that is. But just hang on a minute. Maybe these people can see something else available, and just maybe when they arrive here they will just run off and mingle with the thousands of other asylum seekers that are already here. Who could blame them for that? No one. Going back to banning people, most of whom are dead anyway. People like Tchaikovsky, Rachmaninoff, Stravinsky, Shostakovich, Rimsky-Korsakov, Mussorgsky, authors like Pushkin, Chekhov, Pasternak. It's just so stupid and childish to ban these people. It would be like banning American authors like John Steinbeck or Ernest Hemingway, or musicians like Cole Porter, Jerome Kern or Irving Berlin. I mentioned Irving Berlin because just look up where he was born. I'll let you do that. Wars are damn awful things, but for other countries, sending arms to that country are, if nothing else, absolutely a crazy idea, if not downright irresponsible. The collective West is unwittingly sending arms to terrorist groups via the dark web. Trust me on that. If you think this is wrong, I suggest looking up an independent British journalist whose name I will leave in descriptions. We in the West, and I'm sure most people will agree with this, we have massive problems with child abuse, drug addiction, domestic violence, unemployment, depression, suicide, rising unrest and looming economic collapse, none of which has been caused by a bug or a bogeyman in the East. It has all majorly been caused by ruling global elite intent on total control of the planet. How do we get out of this mess? I don't know, but times sure are a-changing. And I'll leave you another link to a doctor and a journalist who are very worthwhile listening to. And I thank you for listening. Goodbye.